Hello, scrappers, recyclers, and investors interested in the world of scrapping and recycling. Welcome to Shark Scrapper Live, where we talk about things going on in the precious metals market, the industrial metals market, stocks that swirl around scrapping and recycling in some manner, and safety and business aspects related to the business of and hobby of scrapping and recycling. It is great to be here. I took the week off last Sunday, and I appreciate everybody's patience with that. Just had it was the wife and I were out having a great old time, and I owed her some time. So I hope everybody appreciates that, and we're good with that. It is great to be here, man. We've got so much to talk about today. I've been really looking forward to diving back into this live stream. So shout out to That's Right Recycling, Street Copper 11, E-Waste, Mike, Scrapping Irish. Great to have you all here. We are going to dive right into today's subject. So let me know if the volume is okay and we're doing good with the audio. Yeah, I've had a couple of challenges in the previous live streams. We think we got it all figured out. The folks from StreamYard have been really helpful. Helping me walk through things that might be causing the problems. And we've been eliminating, things one by one to try to narrow it down. So I think we've got it figured out. We'll see how this plays out today. All right, so we are going to dive right in with our precious metal. And today we're talking gold. So we use the APMEX charts when we are talking about our precious metals. I have used APMEX to buy and sell physical gold and silver, and they are one of a few that I have investigated, that I have used. They're the ones that I use most frequently. No, I'm not sponsored by them. I don't get anything from them for this. They just have some good charts, and they're a good company to do business with. So we're looking at the gold here. Here's the 1 week chart, and we can see that gold is down for the week. And there's if we look back to the 3-day, we've got this really weird hump that played out for the 3-day, right? We're tooling along here, and then we pop up for a little bit, and we're tooling along. We have a nice little spike, get everybody excited, and then we're right back down again. So just a weird kind of 3-day pattern there. Hey, see you scrapping. Roger, great to have you here. Bob, great to have you here. Anthony, great to have you here. All's good on this end. How's things with you all? Bob wants to know how many ceiling fans I found. Hundreds. It has to be hundreds, I would guess. All right, so if we look at gold for the month, we can see that it's up for the month. So we were down for the week. So here we are. We're down for the week. We're up for the month. And then if we look at the 3 month, we're back down again, 3%. But look at all this ups and downs that are going on here. You've got these higher frequency spikes going on, and then you've got this broader sort of cyclical pattern that's overlaid over this. And this is pretty common. In fact, when people look at the technical charts for investing, they will do things like have running averages. So they'll look at the 30-day average or the 200-day average, and they'll use that as a way to decide what the momentum or the trend is that will drive their investment decisions. Anyway, bottom line for us is gold is down. So, what does that mean? If we look at the year to date, it's up. And if we look at the 1 year, it's up. But, for us, for selling e-waste, which, e-waste is kind of, I don't want to say it's all about the gold, but it's mostly about the gold. So if we look at this 1 month and 1 week trend, I think what that's going to tell us is don't expect much to change in the pricing. It's probably just going to sort of hang out where it's at right now for most of the e-waste buyers that are out there, unless they're seeing something that that I'm not the big issue here is that gold is being stalled as an investment because of what's going on with the U.S. dollar. So as interest rates go up in the U.S. dollar, then people will invest in other kind of cash type things like bank certificates of deposit and such things as that. And that then means that gold is not as shiny as an investment. And so people sort of pull away from gold. The prices drop down until either the prices get low enough or interest rates start to turn around a little bit, and then people want to go back into gold. So yeah, just not seeing much that's going to drive the price of gold up a whole lot for us at this point. So my recommendation is, if you have e-waste and you're in the business of selling e-waste, just keep selling it. Make your cash flow. Whatever you decide is the quantity that you are going to sell, whether it's small bins or big trash bins or truckloads. You got to keep it moving in order to keep your cash flow going. Hey, Roger, I hear you, man. I agree 100% there, bud. That's I sell most of my higher grade e-waste to boardsort.com. So as long as Chris isn't dropping prices, we're good. Oh man. Hey, Street Copper 11. Great to see you, man. All right. So so we're just we're chugging along with gold, and we'll just keep we'll continue to keep an eye on it, and I'm going to just keep on doing what I do, selling my gold, my e-waste. I actually ran into a little bit of a snag with my e-waste. I think the really hot days that we've been having here, last week was relatively cool, but we've had some really hot days here this summer, and when it's been over 100 degrees in the shark gauge a lot, and I think it killed my postal scale, because 2 weeks ago, I think it was 2 weeks ago, I went to go measure out a box for board sort, and man, the scale just went kaflooey. I mean, it was going all over the place. Plugged it in and started it up, and the numbers just bouncing all over the place. It just wouldn't settle. I tried zeroing, I tried tearing, I tried rebooting, and nothing would work with it. So I would say that my postal scale is going to join the scrap pile. I have ordered another postal scale, and we'll hopefully that will behave a bit nicer with what's going on in the shark cage. So now, the old postal scale I had, it was pretty good. It lasted 4 or 5 years, something like that. So I mean, I put it to good use, so I can't complain about it. Well, I could complain about it, but it won't matter. It's still dead. So anyway, we'll get the postal scale going so I can get some boxes off to Chris, because I got stuff stacking up. I need to get it moving. Roger's saying that heat fried his laptop too. 8 years old, so it was probably due. Yeah. That's unfortunate, but yeah, man, that that heat can be really bad for a lot of electronics. Scorpion Metals, welcome to the show. Electronic Scrapper, welcome to the show. Great to have you all here. All right, so we had our fun discussion about gold. Now let's talk about we're going to talk about an interesting subject for our safety issue for today. So this is going to be kind of fun here. I'm hoping I can make this work the way I want it to. Let's see, we do this and we do this. Now we're going to come over, and so we're looking at the National Hurricane Center's website. And what I wanted to do was I wanted to talk about what we see going on in the Atlantic here. It's a fun discussion because, yeah, it's kind of a safety thing because, we talk about you got to pay attention to the weather and what have you. But I noticed in some of the YouTube stuff the last couple of days that some of the quote unquote weather forecasters have sort of been playing a little getting just a little too clickbaity with Lee, with Hurricane Lee. So you know, in the United States, anytime you want to see what's going on with the hurricanes, it's really easy. You just go to the National Hurricane Center website, nhc.noaa.gov. You come to this page, you click on the hurricane, and then if you just, you know, you can see, this is called the static forecast. So if you go up here to warning cone static images, here you can see the forecast. And this is kind of an interesting one because you see that the hurricane is forecasted to become a major hurricane. And, you know, you see this part of the track and you start getting nervous because it looks like it's going to come right in the US, but it's actually going to hook up to the north. And some people, you know, kind of scratch their heads going, hey, wait a minute, what in the world? Why would that be happening? And, you know, it's kind of a little bit difficult to envision that. Here is one thing that you can do when you see something like this and you're curious, you know, why this forecast is getting their attention like that. Hey, Barry, great to see you, man. One of the things that you can do to get a little more information is go up to the top here, go to data and tools. And then there's a couple of things I want to show you. One of them is the satellite imagery. And then you can go to the GOES floater. And then you go over here and you can go on Hurricane Lee. And you can see the loop for the hurricane. That's one thing that's kind of interesting, especially as it's getting closer to land. And, you know, it's kind of fun to watch the eye develop and all that kind of stuff. But what I really wanted to show you was, we go back here. So you go to data and tools, go down to tropical analysis tool. And then you go over where you see NCEP model analysis and guidance. And from here, you're going to go to model guidance. Now, these are all of the models that forecasters around the world use. You know, it's we're in this age of, I mean, we have had these numerical models that help forecasters to understand what storms, including hurricanes, tropical cyclones, are doing. It's all based on physics of the atmosphere. And so these can, you know, these are very, I mean, there's no way that a human forecaster could forecast accurately 5 days out without having these models to help them. So what you do is you go down here to storm tracks. So this button right here, click on storm tracks, and then you have the choice to decide which geographic area you're going to look at. So we're going to look at the Atlantic. And now you're saying to yourself, yeah, now what do I do? Well, over here, this is when the model ran its forecast for. And you can see that if you click on the first one there, it's red, but nothing happens, right? If we click on this next one that ran at 9 UTC, there, you know, you're not seeing much going on. You're not seeing anything going on because we haven't told it what we want to look at. So I always like to look at the ensembles. So you can look at the single GFS model, which is what, you know, just a US model. You can look at the ensemble, which is all of the models together. Now that you clicked on this, you can see that when the model ran back here at 06 Zulu, here's all of the forecast periods. And that's kind of, okay, yeah, so what? Just go click loop all. This is where it gets fun. Now we're going to see what the model forecast developed and predicted over this time. And this is all of the world's numerical models, Europe, all throughout Europe, Asia, the US. So here you see all of those models. And this is, I'm looping this so you can see this. Here's Lee right here. What you see is that all of the forecast models, they developed this pretty tight, these are called spaghetti models. Some people refer to them as spaghetti models. And you can see that they're all in pretty good agreement that that Lee is going to hook to the north And yeah, if you're up here in the real far north of the US and Canada, you're going to be concerned and you ought to be paying attention. But down here in Florida, we love when we see this, because this means that other than maybe some rip current stuff, we're not going to be concerned. Now, I wanted to use this one because this is also really, really interesting. You've got the other storm over here, Jolie, and it kind of moves straight up north. And then look at this, the spaghetti track. The models are going all over the place. Some going left, some going right, some hooking around on top of each other. And what that's saying is that the model, the storm is going to come up here, and it's going to become what they call quasi-stationary. There won't be a lot of good driving forces on it. And the models have a hard time predicting that. This is a nightmare for forecasters because, what do you do? Where's it going to go? And so you kind of just let it play out here a little bit. But this one is a forecasting nightmare because you really don't know where it's going to go. Of course, it's in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, so nobody really cares unless you're in the business of maritime traffic and shipping, and you got to get ships across the Atlantic Ocean, like the US Navy or the merchant fleets. Then you worry about this kind of stuff. The other thing that we see here is all of this stuff that's going on down here. This is the models telling us that there are some low pressure areas down here or along the equator, just, up at around 10, 11 degrees north, that have the potential to turn into storms. And the forecasters at the Hurricane Center will be paying attention to these. So when you see a forecast and you're scratching your head going, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. What's going on with that? Here's little tricks you can use to get a better handle on why the forecasters are forecasting what they are. All right, well, that was a little bit detailed, but it was, for me, having a master's in meteorology, having forecasted hurricanes and tropical cyclones for the Navy, to me, this is fascinating stuff, right? So, and I just wanted to share with you all a little better way to see what forecasters are doing and what they're basing their forecasts on, so you have a little better confidence in what they're telling you. All right, now let's get back to metals, because that's what we're here to really talk about is metals. And street copper 11, since you happen to be the last comment there, I'm sure you're going to love the fact that we are now going into copper. One of street copper 11's favorite metals, copper. Hey, Daniel, great to have you here. So we're going to get right into copper. No, I don't want to see your advertising. Who's advertising here? Is this Temu? That must be Temu. It's probably Temu. Go away. All right, so copper's down. For the 24-hour period, we see kind of going down here. Here's 30-day spot price for copper. It dropped, it climbed, it's dropping again. But, really not a whole lot of motion here, right? We start out at what, 380-ish, 377. We're down here at 373. So not a whole lot of movement overall in the 30-day period. I mean, that's, there was a lot of movement, right? It dropped, it climbed, but overall, really not much changed. 60-day spot price, again, we see that we're really not a whole lot, from the beginning to the end is changed. We're down a little bit, but, we were up, we were down, we were up, we were down, we climbed back up, we're down again. So, it's like, what's going on? It's like it's bouncing all over the place. We look at the 6 month and we see a signal that is not very good for us, right? We were up for a while, but then we dropped. And now you look at this period in here, and it's kind of bouncing around this 380-ish line. So, we're just not seeing a whole lot of change going on with copper. And, here's the 1 year copper spot. Okay, great. It climbed for a while, but yeah, kind of dropping off again. So, trying to understand this, I always look at what's happening with the London Metal Exchange inventory levels. And here you see that the 30-day London Metal Exchange warehouse stock levels have not only just have they been climbing, which means there's more inventory, but look at this almost spike here near the end of the 30-day period. This would be like very recently here. That means that there's a lot more copper going into the warehouses than is being consumed, right? So, when we see copper inventory increasing like this, prices are going to be dropping, right? So what's up with that? Here we see the 60-day and copper inventories are picking up, and you're thinking to yourself, what's going on? Why is the inventory picking up? Why, we've been talking about this green, the green industries coming in here that should be using up a lot of copper as electrification goes on. Why isn't copper being used? China was supposedly opening up. Why isn't China using more copper? Here you see the 6-month London Metal Exchange dropped off, so that was good. Then it started climbing again, so that was bad, dropped off, climbing. And the worst part is, if you look at this peak and this peak and this peak, that means that overall we're putting more and more and more copper into storage. Hey, Doggy Bones, great to see you, man. So we're not using copper the way we would want to consume copper. And here, if we look back over the year, we can see still, here's the end of the line up here. So we're pushing a lot of copper into inventory and not consuming it. So why? What's going on here? What's driving all of this? Well, probably the best explanation that I've seen so far, and I want to thank Scrapping Irish for sending me this link a while back, maybe a week or so ago, because it helped me dig into some twists on this argument. And I'm going to use a term here. I don't want to blow up anybody's head, but copper appears to be stuck between two super cycles. Now, what do we mean by a super cycle? So whether it's a stock or a commodity, or in our case, copper, a super cycle is that thing that has historically been driving the prices and the inventories of whatever that thing is. Hey, Boats, great to see you, man. Trust you are doing well. So in the case of copper had been in what they referred to as the China super cycle, meaning that what was going on in China would have the largest influence on the pricing of copper. And so prior to COVID-19, as China was building a lot of houses and building a lot of industry and making a lot of stuff, their consumption of copper is what drove the prices for copper. Well, COVID hits, and of course, that throws everything into a flux, right? And China shuts down. The whole world basically goes through some level of shutdown, depending upon where you lived. And in many cases, we're still coming out of that. Some countries have come out better than others. Some are rebuilding faster than others. And a lot of people have been saying that China has not come out of it as fully or as fast as was forecasted. China's also dealing with some real problems because they had a huge real estate bubble that developed. Now they've got buckets of houses and apartments and high rises and things that they can't sell, that nobody's occupying. They've got factories that aren't coming back open again. So you've got the negative influence of the China super cycle. But what is also layered in here is this green industry super cycle that is supposed to come in and start taking over. So the electrification, the green industries that are forecasted to consume a lot of copper is supposedly going to be the next super cycle that's going to roll in. And what's happening with copper is that it's kind of stuck between which one of these two super cycles is real and is going to be the one that forecasters need to start paying attention to. As I was researching this, I found it really interesting to see that there are some of the buyers out there, we're talking the big industrial kind of buyers that are speculating that the prices are going to go way up. So you hear people talk about futures market, right? And so you've got one group of people that are saying, yeah, prices are going to go way up. Then there's another group of people that are saying prices are going to go way down. And it's this back and forth that's going on, pulling on these prices of copper. Well, we can see from our chart that we just looked at that the inventories are going up. So that means that we're not consuming copper. And some people would say, see, that's indicative of the China super cycle, not the electrification super cycle. And other people are saying, yeah, that just means that the electrification super cycle hasn't really taken hold yet. And it's this gray quasi period here that for some people could make them a lot of money if they guess correctly. So what does that mean for us as scrappers, recyclers? We pick up a lot of scrap copper. What does it mean for us? Well, my position on this is that I earnestly believe that the electrification super cycle is going to take over from the China super cycle. So I'm in the camp that says we will see copper get used quite a bit more. We're going to see much greater consumption in the out years. We need to be patient and let it play out. Take a long-term view for what's going to happen with the price of copper. So the way that I play that is that I hang on to a certain amount of my good copper. So my number one copper, my Bear Bright, I'm setting that aside and I'm holding that as a strategic reserve. I'm not selling it. Now I am selling my insulated copper wire and my number two as I need to in order to make my cash flow. Right? I still have bills to pay. Got to pay the rent, got to pay the utilities, that kind of stuff. Someday I might even pay myself. That would be nice. So I am selling the lower grade copper products, scrap products for cash flow. I'm hanging on to the higher grade copper products in order to have that strategic, when those prices really start going, I'm going to be in there and make some money. All right, so let's see what you all have been thinking about copper and what's going on with copper here. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, so Corey J is saying, I seen the Squatch with my own eyes, and he said copper's going to stay low till after elections because people got to pick their homecoming. Not exactly sure where you're going with that, Corey. I'm having a hard time following that one, man. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure where you're going with that one. I don't understand that, where you're going with that. If you want to do a follow-up, sure, go ahead. But the interesting thing about these super cycles is that, they're less dependent on a lot of the politics that's going on and more about where the industries are taking things. Let's see, what do we got here? Doggy Bones is saying that he's getting more pay for aluminum. Well, yeah, if you're getting more aluminum, you're going to get more money for aluminum. And aluminum has been one of those sort of, you keep on selling your aluminum because it's not seeing a bunch of changes one way or the other. We'll take a look at aluminum next week. Street Copper 11, have you seen the field of electric cars that China has, that just sits? Oh, you mean like they haven't been selling them? Yeah, that's it doesn't do you any good to make a lot of stuff if you can't sell it, doesn't it? And Doggy Bones is saying down here, copper motors, more aluminum. Yeah, so aluminum wire has been finding its way into motors and wiring demands for quite a while now. So it's not at all uncommon to find aluminum wire or Chinesium or some mix of copper and aluminum. You know, the nice thing about using aluminum in motors is that it makes them weigh less, right? They're lighter, which means you can use them in more applications and things. Of course, as scrappers, we don't like that, right? Because, you know, we want copper. So, you know, when you find a motor and it's got the aluminum windings, then you're probably going to be selling it as breakage. Or if you're one of these folks that takes your motors all the way down, you know, you're going to get aluminum instead of copper. So let's see. Corey, what are you saying? But don't industries follow politics? Winning parties keep their backers in business? Well, yes and no. You know, it's one of the weird things, right? A lot of businesses actually donate to both sides of the fence. They're playing both sides of the fence so that they can influence whoever wins. And actually, what industries do is they tend to follow the consumer, right? So, industries, their bottom line is the dollar. And where are they getting their dollar from? The consumer. So if the consumer is saying, this is what we want, then that's where industry is going to go. Now, yes, there are companies that keep their hand in the political game, but you'd be surprised how many companies out there they spend almost as much money on one party as they do the other party, so that no matter who wins, they have a say at the table. So, it's kind of interesting. Roger says, I get more for my aluminum wire than I do for my aluminum wire than I do for my aluminum. You know, yeah, so that's interesting, Roger. I checked with my non-ferrous yard, and they have told me that they will pay me aluminum extrusion price for wire. So that's and that's a better price, better grade for aluminum. So it's very interesting that that they do that. And I think it's because, well, I don't think. I mean, I've got a really good idea that when you are making aluminum wire, you are going to use a very good quality aluminum, and that's why some yards will pay you more for the aluminum wire than other grades of aluminum or other types of aluminum. So yeah, aluminum. And that's why I'm actually thinking that I might strip some of the aluminum wire, the insulated aluminum cable and wire that I've been getting from my electrician. And I'm probably going to have to put Geek Shark to work on that one and see if it's worth doing it. Well, all right. Got to make a note for Geek Shark. And Geek Shark. Check insulated aluminum wire ROI. Okie dokie. Thanks, Roger. Geek Shark will get on that. Doggy Bones is saying that Chinesium, new word, Chinesium has been around for a while. I'm not exactly sure who invented Chinesium. I know there's a lot of people that like to claim that they're the ones that invented Chinesium. It's funny. It's been around for a long time. So, it's very classic. And it's funny to me how many people still haven't heard of it either. When I mention it to some of the folks that I bump into while I'm out scrapping and stuff like that, and I say, oh, it's probably Chinesium, they're kind of scratching their head going, huh? What? Oh, man. So Corey J is saying that if aluminum wire is stripped, it's almost double the extruded price. Interesting that your yard is doing that. Yeah, my yard will only pay me extruded for the aluminum wire, my non-ferrous yard. So I don't know, maybe I need to shop that around some of the other yards and see if there is an option. Scrapping Irish is saying that Ralph invented Chinesium. very possible. I know he has made that claim many times. I can't argue with the claim. I'm not an expert in word history that I could go back and figure out who was the first person to use that term. But I'm happy saying Ralph invented it. Electronic Scrappers is saying, a coworker asked me if Chinesium was an actual metal. Oh man, that's funny. Hey, Roger, I got it. No sticky stick. Who actually, the first time I heard helium steel was from Paul, Scrap and Pallet Man. So I can make no claim to having invented helium steel. I got that from Paul, Scrap and Pallet Man, and I'm not sure if he invented it or if he heard it from somebody. But it is really fun when you hear somebody that comes up with clever names for things. And Doggy Bones is asking me if I'm getting neoprene price for my aluminum wire. Well, no. What I said earlier, my non-ferrous yard has told me that they're giving me extruded price, so they're treating it as extruded. So yeah, I know it's not neoprene, but again, every yard is going to treat it a little bit differently too. So we'll see. All right, so that was our copper discussion, and somehow we kind of got into aluminum here a little bit. So we're going to move into our business discussion here. So let's change gears just a little bit. Now, those of you that have actual companies, businesses, and you're not doing this as a hobby, you are probably familiar with this requirement. Those of you that are thinking about getting into scrapping as a business, you need to be aware of this and check with your county to see if you have to do this. When you create a business, there's a number of things that you have to do to legally create the business, and then there are some taxes and fees that then are applied that allow you the privilege of doing business in the county and state that you're in. So for instance, I am a Florida LLC. Every year I pay the state of Florida to maintain my LLC status in the state of Florida. It allows me the pleasure of doing business in the state of Florida, anywhere else in the United States, because that's the way the United States works. In the county where I am located, which is St. Johns County, I have to get what's called a local business tax receipt. So I pay a tax to St. Johns County. This is not huge money. We're talking $30 a year. All right. So I pay $30 a year, and that gets me my local business tax. So this document here has to be prominently displayed in the shark cage, along with my secondary metal recycler certificate and my secondhand dealer certificate. So I keep all of those in a notebook right up front and center on the desk, so that when things like recently when the police dropped by, if they ask to see it, it's right there. Now, some businesses will actually frame these in a picture frame and put them up on bulkheads so that they're right there for everybody to look at. Yeah, I might get around to doing that too. I've seen other people where they just thumbtack it to to a board in the office. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you understand what the requirements are for your state and your county, maybe even your city, as far as local business taxes and the requirement to have this document on display or available. There are some pretty steep fines. You can get in quite a bit of trouble if you're doing business in a state or a county without having paid, these licenses. So you want to make sure that you understand this. And it's not that hard. You just go to your state Department of State for the state that you're living in and find out what's required to do business in the state. And then similarly for your county. And they've all got good websites. You navigate, well, some websites are better than others. So you wander around and you'll find where you have to register. Again, it's pretty simple. You just give them your name, your address, your EIN, which is your company's social security number, and contact information. Send them the money, whatever it is, and now you can conduct business legally inside that state and county. Make sure you pay attention to this. Don't try to play games with this because you could get in a jam, and there's no reason to. These things are not terribly expensive. I mean, $30 a year to do this. The secondary metal recyclers renewal is, I think, $16. The same with the secondhand dealers renewal, $16. And then my state registration is $112, I think. So not terribly expensive, but very necessary so you don't get yourself in hot water. All right, so that's our business note for the day. Let's see what questions came up while I was chatting along with that. All right, so Anthony wants to know, what's my view on brass? I love brass. I really enjoy brass. I think it's a beautiful metal, and different kinds of brass. Price of brass is driven a lot by copper, because copper is the main constituent in brass. So if copper was to drop way off, you'd see brass drop way off, back and forth along that lines. I'm actually hanging on to some of my brass because I might start, I know I keep saying this. I've been saying this for at least a year, that I'm going to start messing around with melting and pouring and, making rounds and bars and things. So I've been hanging on to some brass so that I have some a stockpile of some brass that I can play around with. Hey there, HH Recycling. Great to see you, man. I've actually got I've got a stash of aluminum, of brass, and copper that I'm going to use when I start messing around with melting and pouring and things like that. And I've got a whole bunch of Street Copper 11's videos that are on my go back and look at list. So I can, get smart on it before I start doing it. Ralph Morick has some good videos on melting and pouring out there as well. And there's a lot of folks out there, right, that do melting and pouring. So there's no shortage of videos out there to learn about melting and pouring and casting. And it's going to be a lot of fun when I finally get into it. The driver right now for me is going to be my next location. I cannot do it in the location that I'm in right now. The fire marshal has made it very clear that they don't want me doing that, because the building I'm in does not have a sprinkler, and so there's no automated fire suppression system. So the fire marshal doesn't want me doing it there. And the first few times I do it, I'm not sure I want to do that in my home garage. So I'm not as brave as Street Copper 11. So I will, one of the things that I'm looking at as I look for my next location is, having that ability to add that into what I'm doing. Really looking forward to that. And, Street Copper, it's going to take me a long time to get up to your quality of casting. But I've learned a lot from watching your videos, and I'll be watching through them again when I get ready to do that. So, Yeah, do it in the parking lot. Exactly, HH. Do it in the parking lot. You know, what's the worst that happens then, right? I just melt a little bit of asphalt, I guess. That's like, you know, it's funny. You see some of these people that will deep fry a turkey, and they'll set up in the garage to deep fry their turkey. You know, it's like, what are you thinking? You know, if you have any accident at all, you've now got a huge oil fire in your garage. You know, take it out in the parking lot, take it out in the backyard. You know, yeah, think that one through a little bit. Oh man, let's see. That's right. Recycling is saying Scorpion Metal's just waiting for cooler, much cooler weather for melting season. Yeah, yeah, that would be the other thing. You know, sometimes around here in Florida, I joke around about the fact that I don't need to wait for, you know, I don't need to get a burner. I can just set the stuff in the sun and it'll melt, right? Oh man. All right. Hey, let me let's go over here. We're going to talk about three interesting companies now to for our stock market analysis. You know, we're going to see, hopefully the folks at StreamYard gave me the right guidance on how to do this so that our audio doesn't go wonky. But by all means, let me know if the audio goes at all wonky. I've got some backups in place just in case. So we are going to pop over here and talk about some, you know what, before we do that, I got to ask, okay, so that's right, Recife. Frozen turkeys are the best. Yeah. Put a frozen turkey in your deep fat fryer. That one's always interesting to watch. But I need to know if any of you out there have ever made a turducken. You know, now be honest. Let me know if you've made a turducken. The audio went. Okay, fine. Let's see. Wait a minute. That's okay. We got a backup plan. We got a backup plan here. I got that shut down. The audio should be clearing up here again here in just a minute. And while the audio is clearing up, we're going to go to our backup plan. And I'm going to have a word with StreamYard because that was not supposed to happen with the changes that we made. So we're going to have to go find out why that happened with those changes. That's okay. Yeah, that's all right. We will go to the backup plan here. Here it is. Now let me know if we're on the backup plan now. So let me know how the audio plays out with this new plan. Oh wait a minute. Let me get rid of the frozen turkeys here. No good. No good. Really? The audio is still messed up? Well, this is right. So you're saying that the audio is, oh, wait a minute. HH is saying, yeah, what? Better so far. Okay. All right. So looks like the audio is, but Urban Prospector is saying not good with backup. Sounds good now. It just went when you were opening, but is it good now? I guess is what we're saying. What I'm hearing. Interesting. All right. Well, let's talk about what I wanted to talk about, and I'm going to keep. I'll keep watching. Y'all are saying it's good, so. And then it clears. All right. So it crackles when I open it, and then okay. All right. Well, that's a good data point. All right. So. This is AT&T. The reason why I wanted to bring up AT&T stock, because there's a really important thing here about Anthony. I'm going to get to your question here as soon as we get done talking about AT&T. All right. So there's a really important question about or observation about AT&T. The first thing you notice is that it is a 7.5% dividend. I mean, that's a seriously good dividend, right? You know, a lot of times we're lucky if we can get 4%. So that is a pretty high dividend. And we're talking about a share price of $14.21. So it's a very affordable stock, and you get a really good dividend out of it. But if you look over here, you see that it's not qualified in any of the three categories that I look at. And, primarily I'm really focused on these dividends, and you can see that these last the last 3 years and the projection for 2024, they're not qualified. So why would I have AT&T in my portfolio? The green tells you that I own some AT&T stock. Well, because I bought AT&T back here, and so back here it was qualified. It's only when you get into 2021 that it became unqualified. So I've owned it for quite a while, and the question is, well, should I sell it? What should I do with it? I'm hanging on to it for now. But I do want to just real quickly share with you what the folks at the Value Line Investment Survey have to say about it. Remember, this source does not accept any advertising dollars. So this is just raw data and analysis of raw data without any bias to commercial to the advertisers because they don't have any advertisers. AT&T is trading near their 52-week low. So for some people, they're saying that it's a great time to buy it, right? Because it's at the low. So the biggest challenge for AT&T is that they're dealing with an EPA issue. They have a lot of lead shielded cable. And recently there was a case that came up with them out by Lake Tahoe, where some folks, brought it up that they've got these lead shieldings. So AT&T is, dealing with this potential for some serious remediation costs, depending upon which way the EPA goes on lead shielding. All right, so you've got that hanging out there, but they're raking in serious bucks, right? So AT&T, formerly SBC Communication, one of the world's largest telecom carriers. They are the largest in the United States. So, they got some serious money. They're ranked neutral. So, basically what the analysts are saying is, if you're a risk-averse investor, you don't want to play this game. However, if you're comfortable with some risk, this is something that you might want to get into because there's some good long-term upside potential, and this dividend rate of 7.8% is really good. But there's some risks associated with this, so you got to be careful with that. All right, well, now let's compare that to a name that we all know and love. So hang on just a second. We're going to come back here. I'm going to switch to this other one. You all know this one. This company is, this is the company that gets Ben really excited. E-Waste Ben, Cisco Systems. So we look at Cisco, we see that they aren't really offering a great dividend, 2.8%, right? That's nothing to write home about. Their shares are kind of expensive, 56, plus per share. They are qualified for their earnings. So 17 plus years of earnings growth every year except this 1 year here. So they are qualified. But it's a name that we love, right? We love scrapping Cisco stuff. So, we want Cisco to do really well. Now, does that mean you want to buy Cisco stock? Yeah, I'm not excited about it. But, I'm not one of these extremely well-educated and trained analysts. So what do the analysts say about it? The analysts, basically what they're saying is that Cisco is making progress working through their post-COVID inventory challenges. So they're getting back to, they've burned up their backlog. All right. So what that means is they had a lot of a lot of backlog where they could not sell the machines that people were asking for. And they're getting through the supply chain issues, and they're starting to move the machines that people want. So, they've got that cash and the earnings that are coming along with that. And this is the part that might get you interested. This is the part that might cause you to say, well, maybe I'm willing to take a risk. Now, mind you, this is not a dividend play, okay? So this is not a play for me, but depending upon you, it might be something that you're interested in. Cisco hopes that artificial intelligence will drive their demand. They recently launched a new Silicon One switching chips that are designed to efficiently handle the vast data traffic and networking requirements of graphic processing unit clusters, which is a foundational technology for many AI operations. So Cisco is right in the AI world. And, when you think about everything that's going on with AI and where AI is going, it's nice to be thinking about the companies that have to make the circuits that drive AI. So depending upon your risk level and why you want to invest in things, this might be something for you to look at. The third company that we're going to look at is one that, and we're going to get a little crackle as I switch between them here. So I guess that's what we're learning, is that when I switch this, it causes a little bit of crackle to go on, which that's fine. Oops, that's not the one I want. I want this one. There we go. So this company I thought would be interesting to share, because this is the first time that I have ever shown you a company that was qualified in all three of the areas that I look at. Look at that. They are qualified for cash flow per share, earnings per share, and dividends per share. Cash flow and earnings, it's an E1 because they had this negative year from 19 to 20, which I think we can understand why that was going on. And their dividends per share have been up every year for the last 17 years. So Comcast Corporation, the first company that we've looked at in these discussions that is qualified in all three areas. All right, now, Comcast Corporation. If you live in the United States, you know Comcast. Comcast Corporation is a global media and telecommunications company. So, I know it because, well, I have Comcast. And I had a bit of a to-do with Comcast because I was having some real problems with them. My losing my internet and stuff. And that was about 6 months or so ago. And I finally got through to the right person that sent out the right technician who said, we need to replace this cable. So they replaced the cable that was running from the street junction box to my house, and we've had no trouble ever since. They're a big corporation, and I guess it just took perseverance to get to the right person that could fix it. But yeah, Comcast, global media and telecommunications company, its cable communications segment, which is 54%, provides high-speed internet, pay TV, voice service, internet over voice services. The U.S. markets under the Xfinity brand name. They have NBC Universal, which also includes broadcast cable and streaming networks, which are NBC, Bravo, USA, and Peacock. They have TV and film studios, Universal Pictures and DreamWorks, and they have theme parks, Universal Studios. So, man, they are all across the board in what they offer, right? So, the question becomes, should you invest in, should you be buying Comcast stock? Well, if you're looking at a pure dividend play, there's nothing to write home about. 2.5%. That's not great. It's not terrible. It's not great. Their price right now, $46 a share. That's not too bad. That's not impossible for a lot of people. So there's something there. Let me tell you what the analysts say about it. Shares of Comcast are now ranked number one, the highest ranking for relative year ahead price performance. And they've moved up 2 notches in the analysts' estimates. At the recent quotation, we think that a buy and hold investors will also do well here. And underpinning the optimism is in part the company's growing portfolio of popular movies and theme park franchises. A large broadband subscriber base that generates ample cash is also a plus. So, what's that mean for you all? If you want to invest to be able to then sell in a couple of years and make money on, the value of the stock going up, Comcast is one of those ones that you can look at. The analysts here believe that the prices are going to keep going up for the company. They're going to do well. They've got a lot of, they're diversified in enough areas that their cash is going to keep on growing. So these analysts are saying it's not a bad place, whether you are looking at something within the next year or something, a few years out, the buy and hold investor, this is a good place to look. So 3 different companies, 3 very different reasons why you would invest in them. And of the 3, just to be upfront and transparent with everybody, I do own stock in one of them. So in AT&T. So, full disclosure. The other thing that I have to tell you is, I'm not a licensed financial counselor. I'm not a stockbroker. This is just the things that I look at when I'm looking at the world of stocks and industries when I do my own personal investing. If you're going to invest in the stock market, you want to make sure that you get good counsel, that you do a lot of good due diligence, because anytime you invest in the stock market, you run the risk of losing every penny that you invested. So always be careful when you invest in the stock market and do your due diligence ahead of time. All right. Well, it has been great to be back with you all. I have enjoyed spending this hour with you. And if you have autoplay enabled, when I end this live stream, it will take you automatically across the ocean, or across the pond, as they like to say, to our good friend Scrapping Irish over in Ireland, who is busy getting ready with his live stream, so that we can keep on chatting and having a good time. If you do not have autoplay enabled, no worries. Just go check YouTube, look for Scrapping Irish. I look forward to seeing you all over in Ireland. Have a safe week, and we are out of here.